He went for silence in the woods. But what he heard instead broke his heart wide open. Ethan Hayes, a reclusive tech CEO known for his billions and his silence, had been walking the forest trail behind his private lake house when he heard something strange. Faint cries, almost like kittens. But as he got closer, his breath caught. 2 babies, wrapped in a thin, stained blanket, lying in a patch of dry leaves near a fallen tree. No note, no bag, just a stuffed rabbit beside them. He knelt, stunned, and looked around. No one in sight. The nearest road was half a mile away. The forest was quiet again, like the trees had swallowed whoever left them. He picked them up, both barely warm. One whimpered. The other, a girl, didn't make a sound. She just stared up at him with the widest, saddest eyes he'd ever seen. Ethan carried them back to his lake house, calling emergency services with his voice trembling for the first time in years. As paramedics arrived and gently took the twins, Ethan looked back at the trail. He didn't know why, but something inside him said he had to find out who left them, and why. He couldn't stop thinking about their eyes. The silence. The way the girl hadn't cried at all. Something was wrong. Something deep. Later that night, Ethan sat in his office, staring at security footage from the forest's edge. At exactly 4:37 a.m., a hooded woman had stepped out of the trees, looked around nervously, then dropped to her knees beside the tree trunk. She kissed both babies on the forehead, then ran. Not out of guilt, but grief. Ethan leaned in, watching again and again. There was something about the way she hesitated, something that told him this wasn't abandonment. It was desperation. The next morning, Ethan drove straight to the hospital. The twins were stable, but under observation. Nurses said they hadn't been fed in over 12 hours. Still, they were surprisingly calm, especially the girl. Just like in the woods, she watched everything with haunting silence. "I want to cover their care," Ethan told the nurse. "Everything, until we find out more." But inside he knew. He didn't want to just help. He wanted to protect them. By noon, he had hired a private investigator. He gave them stills from the security footage, zoomed-in shots of the woman's shoes, her thin jacket, even the way she walked. Every detail mattered. While he waited, he drove the same trail again, looked for footprints, scraps of fabric, a dropped phone, anything. He couldn't explain why, but his heart wasn't letting this go. By sunset, the investigator called. "She's not homeless," he said. "She's local. Real name, Mia Carter, 23. Works 2 jobs, grocery clerk and diner waitress. Lives in a basement apartment off Harper Street. No priors. Clean record." Ethan frowned. Then why would she do this? "That's the thing," the PI said. "She checked into the hospital 3 weeks ago for post-birth complications. No emergency contact. Left on foot, no car, no visitors, nothing." Ethan didn't sleep that night. He couldn't shake the image of Mia, crouched in the woods, kissing her children goodbye. The next morning he went to the diner. She was there. Hair tied back, eyes hollow, wiping down tables like a ghost in her own life. When Ethan walked in, she froze, recognizing him instantly. Her lips parted, but no sound came. He didn't make a scene, just stepped close and said quietly, "They're okay." I was the one who found them. Tears filled her eyes before she even blinked. She looked at him, trembling. I thought they'd be safer without me," she whispered. Ethan sat down. "We're not going to pretend that's okay," he said gently. "But I need to understand what happened." And that's when Mia finally told the truth, one that changed everything he thought he knew. Mia sat across from him in the quiet booth, her apron wrinkled and her hands shaking slightly. "I didn't want to do it," she whispered, staring down at the napkin she'd twisted between her fingers. But no one was helping me. Their father, he disappeared when I told him I was pregnant. My landlord threatened to evict me. I was working doubles, missing feedings, running out of formula. I hadn't slept in 4 days. I snapped. Ethan watched her carefully. There was no lie in her voice, just exhaustion, fear, regret that sat heavy in every word. I sat there, holding them, and I thought, if I die, who will take care of them? And I knew no one would. I didn't leave them to die. I left them to be found. She finally looked up. I just didn't think someone like you would be the one. Ethan didn't speak for a while. The diner buzzed quietly in the background, clinking glasses, muttered orders, the smell of burnt toast. But to him, everything had gone still. He'd spent his life building companies, solving problems with money and code. But this wasn't about a solution. It was about a life, a broken one, and 2 innocent ones hanging in the balance. Then he said, "You could have walked away. But you stayed until the last second. You kissed them. That's not something a bad person does." Mia wiped her cheeks with the edge of her sleeve. "They're all I have. I thought someone rich might find them and give them what I couldn't." Ethan's voice softened. "You were half right. I found them. But they don't just need money. They need love, stability, a mother." Mia looked up, surprised. "You think I still have the right to be in their life?" "You didn't hurt them. You protected them the only way you knew how," he said. "That matters." She started crying again, harder this time. Less fear, more relief. "I don't want to take them from you," he added gently. "But I want to help. Not just with money. With everything." Her voice cracked. "Why?" And Ethan, the man who had spent his entire life keeping the world at arm's length, just said, "Because someone needs to stop judging people who are drowning and start pulling them out." That night, Mia didn't go back to her tiny apartment. She went to the hospital, with Ethan. And for the first time in weeks, she held her babies without fear. 3 months passed, and everything changed. Mia now lived in a warm guest house on Ethan's estate, not out of pity, but safety. She insisted on earning her place, so Ethan arranged flexible hours at a non-profit he quietly funded, where she helped other struggling single mothers. Her babies, Liam and Lila, were growing strong. Lila had started to giggle, finally, and Liam never stopped reaching for his mom. Mia still battled shame. It lingered quietly in her voice when she spoke to the hospital staff or met new people. But every time she faltered, Ethan was there, not with charity, but respect. One day during a quiet lunch on the porch, she looked at him and asked, "Why do you care so much, Ethan?" "About us." He hesitated, then said something he hadn't told anyone. "My mother left me at a fire station when I was 1, he said softly. "No note. No story. I grew up thinking I wasn't worth fighting for." Mia's eyes widened. "But I had a foster mom, Carol, who didn't have a lot, but she gave me everything she could. She saw something in me when I didn't even know who I was." He smiled faintly. "You reminded me of her. The way you held on, even when you had nothing left." Mia reached across the table and gently touched his hand. No words, just understanding. But just when things seemed to settle, an envelope arrived in Ethan's mail, marked anonymously. Inside was a photo. Grainy, shot from behind a gas station. It showed Mia talking to a man, handing him cash. A note was scrawled underneath. "She's not who you think she is." Ethan stared at it for a long time. It didn't look recent, but the timestamp on the back said it was taken just 2 weeks before Mia left the twins in the woods. Doubt crept in like a shadow. That night, Ethan sat alone in his office, the photo on his desk, and one question burning in his chest. What if there's more she hasn't told me? He wanted to believe in her. But part of him knew. He had to find out who that man was, and what role he played in Mia's past, and maybe her future.